Okay, welcome everybody back. You take a sip if you want to the Deposit That podcast. Go ahead, take your sip. This is it's all raw, it's real. I'm super excited about today. So this is going to be a 2-phase podcast. We're going to cover the entire episode today in one show, but we're going to go business first and then personal. So what we usually do is we usually play a song as like a hype song, an intro song.
I love it.
This is the first song I thought of, right?
Okay.
For your business, and then you can tell everyone what it's about.
Okay.
As soon as this, I gotta pay for this stupid thing. Hold on. I keep getting these ads. I don't know if you know this song.
Yes. Yes.
You know the song?
I do know that song very well.
All right, so Lizeth, welcome to the show. We're gonna hop right into it.
Thank you for
You have a
having me.
restaurant.
Yes.
What brings all the boys to the yard?
So I've been in the restaurant industry 7 years.
Okay.
My family's been in the restaurant industry 20 years.
Okay.
And what has brought the boys to the yard for so long, the boys and the gals, is our staple homemade green sauce.
Green sauce.
Yes, green sauce. It is
The guys and the gals come running.
the guys and the gals. We
my
want
gosh.
them all.
Yeah, everybody, dogs,
Everybody,
whatever you got.
children, everyone,
Bring them.
bring them all. Yes, so it's my mom's recipe.
Okay.
So it's a secret recipe.
It's a secret sauce.
It's a secret sauce. Yes, many people have tried to ask me for the recipe, but it's a secret sauce, and it's really in Peru. If you visit Peru, mostly any restaurant that has what they call a polleria, which means that they sell rotisserie chicken, everyone kind of has their own green sauce.
Okay.
So, but it varies from location to location, and I like to think mine is among the best, and that's why it's kept us in business for so long.
So mom's had the same sauce for 20 years,
Yes,
20 plus years?
Yes, for 20 plus
Never
years.
changed ingredients,
Never
nothing.
changed the ingredients. So it's our homemade green sauce, our homemade salad dressing, and our homemade dressing for our rotisserie chicken. Those are all unique and original to El Gordo.
So before we get into where your restaurant is, what you specialize in, I want to first thank Louis Vaca for introducing us. Louis, thank you so much. And it's funny because, I told you I don't do residential mortgages anymore. I strictly investment, finance, strategy, advisory, help people scale their businesses, get lines of credits for their business, open up their business inside of a real estate location. And when we met, we sat down, we hit it off right away, and we just clicked. It was like, you get me, I get you. Here's your goal. Here's your strategy. Let's take it to the next level. So how has that first time we met evolved to today, in your opinion? How do you see that relationship that we've built?
Well, I think, yes, Louis actually is a customer of mine. I know him, he's been coming to the Jersey City location pretty much since I opened. And in my business, energy is very key for me. And even with someone like him, we've exchanged ideas, we've exchanged advice. And I think one of the key things that I really value in people is some people just have this natural energy to want to give you advice and see you win. So he had come to the restaurant and, I was telling him about some plans that I had with my mortgage, with my existing homes. And he said, you know what, I know someone that can really guide you in the right direction. He's great. He has, he told me a little bit about you. And from the moment that you walked in, it's, I just felt like the energy was very genuine, very humble. And, you gave me a lot of great advice. And I think since then, it's taken off.
Interesting. And the food was great.
The food was, so ceviche is your one of your favorite
Oh my God,
Peruvian
my favorite.
dishes.
Love it. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So, we started over a ceviche and a Peruvian beer, Cusqueña.
Yeah.
And, we talked about business. We talked about, the things that we've learned in business, the skills that we value as entrepreneurs. Sure. And, I think when conversation like that is just, it's general, it's flowing, I gravitate a lot towards that. So
most women, men probably too, they just don't tell me, when they come on the podcast, they're nervous. They're like, I'm sweating. It's hot. I'm like, stop sweating. Stop.
Yes, I am
yourself.
a little nervous.
Pretend like there's no microphone, no camera recording. So tell everyone about your journey from your first real world career, right, into running a restaurant now for, like you said, 7 years.
Okay. So prior to the restaurant, I worked in corporate America. I graduated from William Patterson University in 2005, and I had a company recruit me, a company called Blinds to Go. I'm sure a lot of people
Sure.
are familiar with it. And they had this management training program. And my hiring manager, who is still one of my mentors and someone that I look up to a lot, his name is Frank Costel.
He better listen to this.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna tell him. Yes. So he recruited me, and at first, my first initial thing was, oh, I graduated college. You graduate with this idea that you think you're gonna already go have that corporate office. I have my bachelor's degree. What do you mean you want me to sell blinds?
Yeah, right.
And work retail?
Sure.
So I was ungrounded back then, and honestly, joining a solid management training programs was one of the best things that I did later on as I grew in the company and became a recruiter. When I presented it to, soon to be college grads, it really for me was the skills that I learned. So I started off as a sales consultant in the showrooms, worked my way into development manager, training manager. At one point I was running like the top showroom in the Northeast that grossed the most sales. I was known to every store that I went to, sales would increase.
Bring the life. You bring it. You bring the green sauce.
Yes,
the secret sauce.
Yes, I would bring all of that.
Yeah.
So I then evolved into a recruiter, worked in that company for 6.5 years. Towards the end, like in most careers, you start evaluating, okay, where is this really going? And am I happy with what I'm doing? Am I learning the most that I can? What eventually is my goal? I grew up in the restaurant industry. My mom opened El Gordo in Passaic in 1996 when I was just 14 years old.
Ago. Wow. Yeah.
So back then when she first opened, I just saw the restaurant as, the place where, if I broke curfew, God, now I have to go work and wash dishes, because, I didn't see so much the potential of it. As I was working corporate, Blinds to Go was a company itself that the owner started off selling blinds off the back of his truck, and he grew into this successful retail business. So I loved that entrepreneurial aspect of it. I've always had that in me because of my mom. And I said, you know what? I always said to my mom, the day that I would join the restaurant industry would be the day that I can grow it from a local mom and pop shop to an actual, Peruvian restaurant chain, that when people think of Peruvian food, they think of El Gordo.
Wow.
And I thought that
so
it was.
You knew that deep down.
Oh, I knew that deep down. And I knew that for me to be able to do that as well, I had to equip myself with solid skills that were going to help me do that. And I knew that joining the restaurant right after college wouldn't really help long-term do what my vision for it was.
You would miss that gap of training.
I would miss that gap of training and experience and, learning actual tangible skills. So I worked in Blinds to Go for about 6.5 years. About 5 years into it, I said, okay, you know what? Like, I'm ready. I've learned, I've learned a lot. I'm growing my savings, It's going to be time. I started looking actually at commercial spaces, and I'm very big on power of affirmation and setting actual dates. And I'll never forget, at that time I was living in the Upper East Side in New York. My job had put me in a corporate apartment. And I said to myself, come September of 2012, I'm going to be in my restaurant. I'm going to have my own restaurant. And that's how it happened.
Wow, that quick.
So I created a plan. I've always believed that if you have a goal, I personally like to work backwards. Mm-hmm. So what is my goal? Okay, what do I have to do? Break it down step by step. Because
so you actually do that on paper?
I do that even now. Wow. Yes, I do that on paper. Because,
did you learn that?
I learned that from my former mentor. Wow. Yes, I did. Because valuable. I find that allows you to break it down, and it doesn't become, okay, I want to open a restaurant.
Sure.
It gives you more guidance. It allows you to have it step by step. It allows you to say, okay, if I want to open up a restaurant, what are the things that I need to do that? Let me work backwards. So I did the plan, I did my steps, and, life has a silly way of sometimes getting you to your end goal. And
the universe makes things happen when it wants, when you're ready, that you usually don't know you're ready for it.
Exactly. Right. So, February of 2012, I was arrested by Ice.
So we're going to bring
Yes.
a new song. This is part
Oh,
two.
God,
Song
okay.
number 2.
I love these songs.
So I believe music and songs are the best way people can relate.
Yes.
So this is actually my new favorite song now. It's super, super awesome. And the words are super powerful. Look, here's the ad again. So I'm too cheap to buy
We need to
YouTube.
do something about those ads.
I know. I like watching the video too. Come on. It's loading, I promise.
Say, Mike, sometimes it's painful to relive the past. But sometimes you gotta relive the past in order to heal from it. I just don't reach my reason.
So Kevin Gates is a new fan favorite of mine.
Okay.
And he says, in order to basically get over the pain, you have to relive the past, right?
Yes. Oh, that's
So now,
powerful.
oh my God, yeah, I
Wow.
get chills. My hair stands up.
Say
my
that
arms
again.
everywhere.
In order.
So sometimes you have to relive the past in order to heal from the pain from it, right? So now I know this story. So now we're gonna tell everyone else your story. So we're back to early 2012. What do you got?
Yeah, so we're back to early 2012. Throughout me building my corporate career, upon me entering college back in 2000, oh God, that's how I get 2000. My parents, for like most, immigrant families that come here, my parents came into the United States in the late 80s. I came along with them when I was just 6 years old, so you grow up here. I went to school here. I built my life here. Upon being accepted to William Patterson University, I discovered that me and my dad had an order of deportation. Obviously, leaving was not something that crossed our minds.
Right.
I had just gotten accepted to college. And I also knew that with that, I would have to pay for school. I didn't qualify, obviously, for financial aid, for loans. So my whole college tuition came out of my parents working really hard to give me that education and me working several jobs to make sure that it happened. And so for many years, you're talking now from 2000 all the way to 2012, you're dealing with the whole immigration process. And, that itself is a whole nother conversation, but you're dealing with
Very
lawyers.
drawn out.
Yes, you're dealing with lawyers. You're dealing with, what are the different legal options that I have to, to be able to go turn my case and be here legally. Because I was over 18, it just took longer. So throughout this whole time, I'll never forget my dad said to me when he broke that news to me, he said, we're not going to let this change your course. You're not going to let this determine whether you're going to be successful or not. And when I think of a lot of the traits and values that I have, I'm very blessed to have had parents that never really allowed fear to be part
supportive.
of. Yeah,
totally supportive.
Very supportive, and never really allowed fear to kick in. They always said, you are going to be successful if you work hard and you sacrifice, you're going to be able to do it.
Power of positivity.
Yeah. So that's how I took many risks, built a corporate career, and in my mind, I was, even though I was this dreamer, I was, illegally here. It's funny, right? Because on the outside, I was the American dream. I was this minority young woman working in corporate America, doing, financially very well.
Living on the Upper East Side.
Living on the Upper East Side, spoke perfect English. Was planning to launch my business. And then one morning in February of 2012, I got
February 27th, if I remember the date.
Yes, February 27th. Oh, you're good.
I read.
You read it, but you remember the date. February 27th of 2012, I was driving to work. At that time, I worked in Hartsdale. I had just opened that showroom. I was running the whole New York district, and I get pulled over. I thought I was getting pulled over for being on the phone. And
or speeding. Look like a speeder.
Yeah. And it turned, they come to the car, they ask me for my license, registration. As I give that to them, I see all these different undercover cop cars pull up. And in my head, the first thing that came to my mind was something bad happened to my family. Like something bad happened and they're coming here to give me bad news, because it just didn't make sense. All these, cop cars.
Everything slow down.
Oh yeah.
Like
everything. In that moment, I remember looking at my rearview mirror and just seeing like 3 undercover cop cars pull up. And I said, okay, this is no longer about
You got the wrong person.
This is no longer about a cell phone ticket.
Yep.
what's going on? I know I haven't done anything. I don't have any. The last thing on my mind, right, and is that it's ICE. So I get asked to get
Not
out of the
vanilla
car.
ice either.
No, no,
Yeah.
not that one. So I get out of the car, and we start chat. The officer asks me, "What is your legal status in this country?" And me, I'm like, "Oh, I'm a U.S. citizen."
Right. I've been here.
Yeah, I've
66.
been here. It's just and
Pay my
that's
taxes.
yeah, I pay my taxes. I I have a job, everything. And that's when he said to me, he goes, I am a immigration customs enforcement officer. I'm going to ask you again, what is your legal status here? And in that moment, I will never forget, I just froze, because I always knew that could happen. The reality was my dad and I did have an order of deportation. But as my lawyer would always say, we're not doing anything wrong. We're not criminals. We're paying our taxes. We're not the people that they're supposed to come after.
Yep.
But yet it could happen. That's the reality of it. Until our paperwork got situated, that was a possibility. But you don't think about it, because in your mind you say, not me. Why would they come?
I'm doing the right thing.
I'm doing
Staying
the
in my
right
lane.
thing, right? Why would they take the time to come and look for me and my father?
Right, when there's people slinging crack on every corner.
Exactly. So when that reality hit, I said, holy crap, like this is really, really happening. I froze, and, I'm not someone that usually, there's that feeling of fear. It is. That's probably one of the few times in my life
Fearful.
that I really felt fear, because it's what's going to happen. Are they going to just take me now? Are they going to,
like the unknown?
Right. It really is the unknown. Are they going to just take me straight to Peru? Are they going to allow me to talk to somebody? Because one of the most frustrating things in the immigration system and going through all of this is you feel very helpless. Your voice is not accounted for. It's not like, it's almost like DMV, right? You can't go and yell at anybody because
they don't care.
Right? You just have to wait in line and do what they're told.
Yep.
Exactly. So, it's not like I could demand any rights. And
so you had no rights. Everything was strict.
You have no rights. You have, you just have to follow the process. And even if it's frustrating, even if it doesn't make sense, that's just what you have to do. And should something go wrong, you can't do anything about it. Like even in my whole process of becoming legalized, I'll give you a perfect example. You have to take this medical exam that costs about $400, right? You come out of pocket for it. It's not covered by insurance, and these are the times when I think of people, I'm very blessed that I had financially was able to afford it, but for other people,
can't.
And in my case, they lost my exam 3 times. You can't complain.
Oh, sorry.
You can't say it's like, well, sorry, we lost.
That's $1,200.
You have to go again. So that was the feeling of hopelessness and not being able to voice your opinion or voice against all of this. It's very frustrating. One of the things that stands out for me that day is, as I'm talking to the officer, he asks me, "Where's your dad?" And at that time I had just purchased my 2-family home in Garfield. Sure. 2 years before that, I was living with my dad. And when he asked me that, I looked at him like, what? Like, you expect me to turn in my dad?
I'm not ratting my dad out.
So, and I said to him, I said, you're asking me to turn in my dad. Like, and I said to him, do you have a dad? Like, what's your answer to that? And I'll never forget, he looked at me like, are you sure this is the tone you want to take with me? And I said to him, no. I said, I don't know where my father is.
That's your job, not mine.
Yeah, exactly. And that whole day is just filled with paperwork. But, in that whole day, there's, many different things.
What were you feeling? Yeah, what were the emotions?
God.
I mean,
I think back to that day, and I was scared. I was frustrated. I was angry. I was just very angry.
You're not an angry person, I know.
No, right. I'm not.
I don't see you like taking out a knife and stabbing anybody.
No. And I was just very angry. Like, is this really happening to me? Like, how could this happen to me? And it's like, I think I was very angry because I had worked really hard to be where I am. I was working 70 hours a week. I was, yes, I was the successful person living in the Upper East Side, but I worked I really busted my butt in my career, you know, and it was the idea like, I'm about to lose all of this. I'm about to lose everything that I worked hard for. My house, are they going to take my house?
For no reason.
My car, are they going to take my car? They like, it was just, all I could think of was the fact that I'm about to lose everything that I sacrificed for.
So once they pulled you over, they let you drive away from there, or they took you?
No, they took. So thankfully, you know, there was one officer that was nice, or as nice as
there's always
can
one
be.
that sits in the back, sympathetic.
Yes, you know. So I remember I asked them. I said, you know, I'm only a few blocks away from my house. Can you please just park my car by my house? You know, I don't want my mother to have to deal with towing, please. And you know, he was like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah, that was very nice. Yeah. You know, he took my car, you know, parked it. Then they drove me down to Newark, you know, to start the process, because that's how it works when you get detained by ICE. They take you to the immigration office, you know, to take your pictures, do your fingerprints, to really start the whole process going.
And just to backtrack, so I hate politics, I'm not political at all. But I remember the first time you told me this story, you were like, everyone is knocking Trump for this ICE raid. This happened in 2012. Yes. Who was our president in 2012?
Obama. Yes.
So a lot of people are showing hate towards now. Look, you might hate him, might love him, whatever, but at least hate him for something he actually did, not something that was evoked years ago.
Exactly. And exactly. To put politics aside, I mean, the reality is our immigration system is a broken system. It's been a broken system, and a system that hasn't been dealt with the right way forever, not just in this presidential area. It's how it's been always, you know. I think since day one, you know, and I think that when I think of Dreamers, it's always hits home, not just because it's personal, but because for me is people that are in my situation. We came here as we were kids, you know. When I came to this country, I didn't know I was breaking the law. Right. I didn't know that this is the kind of life that I would have to sign up for, you know, have to live through everything that I lived through, invest all the money that I had to invest to, you know, finally be able to get my situation right. And what it is a lot of people think it's easy, right? It's like running a business. People always want to tell you what you could do differently, how you could do it better.
Yeah, they know you better than you know you.
Exactly. They think they know. They think that if they were to walk in tomorrow as a restaurant owner,
forget green sauce, let's do red sauce.
Yeah, exactly. They would do it better. And it's until you've lived it, you don't exactly know everything that you have to go through it.
So how long did they actually have you detained for?
I was detained for 2 weeks and 3 days.
17 days.
Yes.
And you were sitting in a room,
I was in Delaney Hall in Elizabeth. So that's at that time. Now it's closed. At that time, that was the hall that they put in all immigrants that didn't have a criminal background. So it was more, it was a jail, you know, but it was more of a detention center. I was allowed to thankfully have visitors come in every day, have my mom see me. But yeah, you know, going back to that day, it's a long day. And for me, one of the things that really broke me as they're driving me to Newark, I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, my dad, are they going to get my dad? You know, at that time, my dad had his restaurant in Passaic. Also El Gordo that my mom had sold to him. I couldn't text them, nothing. They took my phone, they took my purse, they took everything, you know, which now looking back, I know that they weren't supposed to do, but they took everything.
They weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah, wow. I mean, technically, they're not really supposed to go through like your purse and, you know, like your phone.
Invasion of property.
Exactly.
It's still yours.
You know? Exactly. So when I got to Newark, you know, they're taking down all my information, and I will never forget, I turn around and I see my dad walk in handcuffs. And, you know, my dad is, you know, both my mom and my dad are very strong people. You know, my dad came to this country. He's never even gotten a parking ticket, you know, worked at one point 3 jobs all in one day, just, you know, to give me a better life and, you know, to do something of himself. And to just see him in handcuffs, like a criminal, and so helpless. Not even that, just to see him so helpless, you know, just broke me. And I remember turning around and just running to him in that moment, you know, and I talked about in the paper that I shared with you, you know, my dad, you know, we don't have the most emotional relationship. He's a very strong man. And, you know, when I ran to him, it's even in that moment, he's still giving me strength. He's like, don't cry.
Whatever he has left, he's giving it to you.
He's like, we knew that this could happen, and now we just have to be strong, you know? And it's almost like it stopped me where I'm like, like going to cry. And it's
Tear
like,
went back up.
yeah, you know, exactly. It's, you know, I will never forget those words. That's exactly what he told me. It was like, let's accept this,
Sure.
you know, because we knew it could happen. And now let's just be strong. And, you know, that really helped like stop and, you know, say, okay, it's true. You know, I have to accept this, you know, this is the reality. Now let me just, you know, think about, okay, what do we do? I went into what I do is I went into action mode. Okay, who do I need to call? What do I need to say? The first thing was, you know, I had to now call my job, you know, and they had to find out that I had been lying to them this whole time. That itself made me feel horrible, you know?
But you let your action and performance, you know, speak for you.
Exactly. Yes.
People that knew you.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, then it had to come with me calling my mom, you know, and her words at the end of my phone call with her were the same. You know, she always said to me, you know, out of everything bad, something good comes out. And something good will come out of this. I just need you to focus on that. You know, and she says to me, she's like, you know, you're not the kind of woman that stays down for too long. You always figure it out. You get
impatient.
Yeah. You know, and, you know, that's always the support system that I've grown up with, you know, and being in there 17 days, it's, you know, when I think back, it's crazy how I'm so thankful for that experience. It taught me so much.
Really?
Yes. It humbled me.
Did it show you that no matter what, like you're going to be able to figure it out? Is that kind of what it showed you?
It did. It showed me that no matter what, I would be able to figure out, you know, in that experience, you know, I talk about what I shared is, you know, there was a sense of pride, you know, if there was ever a time, you know, that I felt so proud because to me, even though I wasn't legal here, I was an American. And if there was ever a time that I felt proud to be an American, was in that moment because I had, regardless, I said, okay, even if I get deported, I have my education, I have my work experience, and can nobody take that from me? That's the one thing that's mine that I've worked hard for.
Well, I feel like most other people would obviously play victim, feel sorry for themselves. You actually turned it into a positive.
Yeah. I said, I'm going to, you know, be good, whether it's here, whether it's in Peru, like it's wherever it is, you know. And I think, you know, the moment I started accepting that, like this could be a reality, I could be deported. They could come in the middle of the night and just take me because I saw in the 17 days that I was there, them do that to 3 other female inmates, you know, no chance to say goodbye, no chance for anything. Nothing, you know. It happened to one of the girls that was in the same room as me. They came in the middle of the night at like 12:30 in the morning, you know, and it's like, pack your stuff. We're leaving. Flight leaves in 2 hours. You know, you don't have time to say goodbye to anybody. You know, so I think for me, I had to, the first few days was crying, right? It's like, oh my God.
I'm sure.
But then I started saying, okay, I have to accept this. What could possibly happen? Let me start mentally preparing myself for what the outcome could be. You know what, and preparing myself mentally, right? Because once you start putting it up here and giving yourself strength up here, everything else will fall in line. So I was in there 17 days. I you know, and I felt very blessed because, you know, you look around and you see other people that are just in worse situations. You know, I saw women that couldn't have visitors because their family are also undocumented. So they're too scared to come. They're not coming to show up and visit you. No. You know, you see kids that are coming to see their parents and, you know, they're crying when it's time to say goodbye because, you know, to a kid, it's mom and dad. You know, it's not mom, the illegal alien. It's not dad, the illegal alien. It's mom and dad. It's family. So, you know, that's why I say I am thankful for that experience. It taught me so much gratitude, and gratitude is a part of, you know, what I take with me day to day. I think it's, you know, what helps me be successful is obviously to always be thankful, you know, and I always have that experience to look back to. You know, I was there 17 days. There were women that were there a year. You know, there were women that were there 3 months, 6 months, you know, 10 months, 2 years.
So day 17 ends, you're free. Now what? Tell us now. Let's go back to the real topic of Gordo and the green sauce.
Yeah. So now, you know, I'm out. We throw a big party like only Spanish people know how to party.
I was in the Bronx for 8 years. I know how they do it.
Exactly. Lots of food, lots of green sauce.
Cervezas.
Exactly. Right? And, at that time I had to, my dad, the result of all of this is, I was able to get out and given the opportunity to keep working on my case while still remaining in this country. My dad, unfortunately, had to get deported. I was able to, from inside the detention center, write a letter to the head of ICE in Newark. And all I could plead to him is say, you know what, my dad has been here 23 years. Don't send him right away like a criminal. Give him time to come out, deal with his goodbyes, deal with his proper, do it the right way. Right. If you want to send him, okay, I get it, but don't pick up and leave. Yeah, don't pick up and leave. So at that time, my dad had the restaurant in Passaic. My mom has her restaurant in Passaic that she's had since 1996. We currently have 3 El Gordos, mine in Jersey City, my mother's in Passaic, and my uncle has one in Patterson. They all were started by my mother, and then she would sell them off. The one that my uncle had, she sold to him.
Smart lady.
The one that my dad had, she sold to him. Yeah. So at that
time, hustled his
ass. She did. She did.
He definitely paid a premium.
Yeah. So, when the time came, my dad had to sell his business. And he said, and my mom said to me, this is your chance. You've been waiting to get into the restaurant industry. So I had 2 options. My company, because of the work that I did provide, they were willing to take me back, but not in the U.S. They wanted to relocate me to Canada. But, I could have still come back to that corporate career, right? And, or it was, okay, let me now do what I've been saying I'm going to do for so long, and that's join the family business. I bought the restaurant from my dad because he didn't give it to me for free. He's always been very good at saying, no, when you earn something, when you work for it and you pay for it, you value it more.
You have to.
Yeah. So yes, he did give me a good deal, but after, my mom was like, this is your chance. I emptied out my 401k and I opened up my first location. Well, not open. I took over my dad's location on Main Avenue in Passaic. And I had that location for about 6 years. I recently sold it last year to my chef that worked with me for 6 years. Yeah. So that was the beginning of my restaurant journey.
So now Jersey City, El Gordo, tell us about that. And then what's obviously next?
So Jersey City, I make 3 years.
What's the address?
In January, 291 Central Avenue.
So if you listen to this and you don't go support her business, I want you to unsubscribe, unfollow, delete me from your phone, stop following me on Facebook and Instagram, because if you're not supporting her, then we're not going to be cool anymore. So you better go into the place and tell them you heard this podcast, saw it live, and go get that green sauce. But tell her, make sure you meet her and shake her hand. So
yes, thank you. I love to meet my customers.
So you're right on Central Avenue.
I'm right on Central Avenue. I had my location on Main Avenue in Passaic for about now, this is 4 years, and I knew that it was time to expand. I started scouting different locations, and I came across the Heights. I wasn't really familiar with Jersey City at all.
No one really is.
Yeah, all I knew of Jersey City was Sandbar, and that probably gives away my age. I used to go to Sandbar back in the day, so I didn't even know that the Heights existed. So I came across the Heights actually through someone that I met at a restaurant. I met this couple. We're having drinks. They tell me about the Heights. I checked it out. And when I first saw the location, it used to be a former pizzeria. Mm-hmm. I see the gates down, and just something about it just stood out to me. It just felt right. I called the realtor, I go in to see it right away. And I just said, this is it. This is it. It's in a busy street. I drove, before I said this is it, I, drove around a few times. Sure. I'm a big, I scout my area personally.
You do it the right way.
I visited other different restaurants. I parked my car in front of that location for a good few hours.
Everything goes on.
Watch everything. I need to see the foot traffic in the day, at night. And then I said, this is it. And I embarked on, it was our first time that we did an actual build out. So we converted, even though it was a former pizzeria, it just needed a complete conversion, a complete construction build out. So that itself was a learning lesson. Sure. And, you know, it's, I'm so glad I picked Jersey City. I love the diversity of it.
Yep. It's a big community.
It's
Everyone
a big
lives
community. And, you know, it's in the Heights, I feel that there is a strong sense of wanting to support local businesses.
Completely.
And that was something that I wasn't used to seeing. You know, my experience in restaurant was in Passaic, you know, very completely different market. But in Jersey City, from the beginning, that people saw that we were in construction, you know, they're like, oh, well, we can't wait till you open. We want to come check you out. We want to, you know, try the food. So I'm very blessed and thankful to have had a very positive welcoming in the neighborhood, you know, to have a lot of local customers. And yeah, I've been there. It's going to be 3 years. And now I'm scouting for the next one. I know it. Time flies.
So now talk a little bit about, like, obviously there's a lot of turnover in the restaurant business. What are some tips you can give other people that have restaurants or want to open up restaurants from retention? Obviously you can't duplicate yourself, right? But what are some strategies you have to keep your people loyal to you?
Well, I say first, you know, if you're coming into this industry, I always say all the rumors you hear are true. You know, restaurant industry is the toughest industry. There's high turnover. All of that is very true. And I think if you come in mentally prepared that it's going to take hard work and sacrifice, that's the first step. You know, we are in the type of market now where, you know, employee turnover is even higher. You know, we are in
every industry,
in every industry, you know. But one of the things that I find for me is, I always say I hire value, I train skills. I have always been very proactive about the people that I bring into my team. You know, in the moment I sniff any sign of negativity, anyone that comes in for a negative energy, I don't care like how skillful you are. I don't care if you can sell green sauce to every customer that comes in.
To a blind
person. I don't need that kind of energy here.
Gotcha.
You know, so from the beginning, I think one of the key, I talk to my staff a lot, you know, and I get in there and I work with them. It's communicate, you know.
I mean, I see you as somebody that leads by example.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's so key. You know, I think that if you're naturally, if you're a good leader, you're going to bring out the best in people.
Of course.
You know, people, I think it's people are going to want to work for someone that they can themselves respect because they feel respected. They're going to want to work if, you know, they see someone that treats them as an actual person. To me, every person on my team is an integral part of my success, from my dishwasher to my server to my guy that packs up my delivery. So it's very important for me to treat all of them with respect and to keep it very real with them. I talk to my team in a very real manner. You know, I have young people that work with me and I say to them, listen, I know that this isn't your career. I know that this is just, you know, your gig for now to pay your bills, but, you know, this is my baby. Yep. And at the same time, like, I can teach you some valuable skills here that are going to help you no matter where you go. Yep. So if you allow me to help you in that sense, and in return, you know what, look out for my baby. That's always what I say to them. I always instill that in them. I say, you know what, while when El Gordo's doing good, I'm not the only one that's doing good. All of us are doing good because there's going to be more opportunity for all of us. Yep. If El Gordo sinks, we're all fucked. Yep. Not just me.
I get it.
You know, and I think that, you know, putting that into their mindset, they almost feel like they're part of that work. They almost feel like they're part of that growth. And I think that when people feel like that they're part of something bigger, it brings out the best in them, it motivates them, and, you know, it makes them want to work hard. And for the people that, you know, don't pull their weight, I'm very particular. Again, you know, I nip it in the butt from the beginning. And, you know, I always say to them, I'm never fearless of losing anybody. Everything that happens in my restaurant, I can do. So I've said to them, like, you know, I'll come back here and I'll make ceviches. I'll do it. You know, I'd rather have 2 people in my kitchen, but it's going to be the most 2 positive, you know, great attitude people. And we're going to work hard, but we're going to enjoy working hard versus, you know, having a team of 5, sluggish. But, you know, you have 3 people that are sluggish or being negative, and who wants to work in that kind of environment? So, yeah.
I think that's super valuable. So now I know you're doing like some type of green sauce challenge now that's coming up.
Yes,
tell us about that.
Our green sauce challenge was actually started by you, Jeff. I
It
loved
was totally like, I'm exhausted.
I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is great. So yes, we are having our green sauce challenge. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you have to try, if you've tried the green sauce, you know, it really does go good with everything.
Everything.
You know.
And on its own.
And on its own. Yes.
Yep.
And on its own.
Yep.
So we have this challenge, take a video of you taking a shot of our green sauce.
Yep.
And, we're going to be promoting different prices that we have for the people that are doing the green sauce shot challenge.
Awesome. Love it. So as we close up the show, we always want to leave people with one thing to take away from the show. Now you have 300 things that you've said today, and they're all valuable. And it's been my true pleasure of having you on. And I know that you're going to impact so many people that hear this from all sides of the spectrum. So what's one thing you want to leave people with to deposit to their memory bank that they can implement?
Yeah. So I think one of the key things is, a lot of times people look at people like me, and they say, wow, she has her own restaurant, she's a young woman, successful. And I think that people don't overlook the day-to-day sacrifices that we make and the day-to-day hard work that we put in. So, I always say, be willing to sacrifice and to work hard. Gratitude is a big part of what I bring into my life. And my key thing is, I always say, if you run your own business, no matter what business you do, one of the things that's helped me is I say, I'm the heart of my business. For my business to be good, I have to be good. And that means taking care of myself emotionally, physically. My business gets the best out of me when I myself are in a position where I'm feeling good about myself.
Unstoppable.
Exactly. And I think a lot of times, we're so focused on growing our business that we don't take care of us.
Completely.
And that's a big part of it. My energy radiates through my business. So for me, that's always what I say. I'm the heart of my business, and for my business to be good, I have to be good.
I love it. So look, we need at least 1,000 downloads of this in the first week. I hope everyone watching live came and enjoyed the show.
From it,
and you better be at El Gordo today. You close tomorrow?
Yes, we are closed on Tuesdays.
Not open on Tuesdays. So make sure Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
and
Monday.
And we are BYOB, so you can bring a nice bottle of wine, beer, come by.
So let's go support this entrepreneur, this great woman, and I'm super grateful to have you as a friend.
Oh, thank you. I'm super grateful too for allowing me to, share my story and share my truth in hopes that it really motivates someone that anything is possible through hard work.
If someone listened to this and didn't get the chills and they got unsubscribe, delete, pretend you never heard it. So thank you so much for coming, and we'll have you back on again.
Thank you.